So what are some of the steps for maximizing then milk protein and MP utilization through amino acid formulation? Feed this optimum blend of carbohydrates that Randy Shaver was talking about today. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay? Because if you didn't hear me today and you just listened to Randy, you're going to get halfway home here on this milk protein thing. Now, feed adequate but not excessive levels of RDP. Adequate but not excessive. How do you know that you're feeding adequate but not excessive? Well, first of all, you got to track it, you got to determine it, have your nutritionist tell you what that level is. Just start tracking it. Just start tracking it. Know where you are. Experiment a little bit. Lower it a little bit if you think it might be a little too high relative to the recommendations of the model that was used to generate the value.
Would you use MUNs?
Oh, MUNs, yeah. MUNs, milk urea nitrogens. That's a really good tool. That's a really good tool there. If those are high, you are probably too high on RDP relative to the amount of fermentable carbohydrate that's in the diet. Okay? Yes?
What is too high on the map?
What is too high? I was hoping you would ask what's too low. What's too high? Well, there's just, too high would be anything over 15, 16. But if you were to ask me too low, I'd have to tell you I don't know what too low is. We've seen just some phenomenal milk production on some of these farms with MUNs running at 8. Running at 8. But that means they got really good carbohydrate nutrition there, and they got things pretty fine-tuned. I've seen lower than 8s. I've seen 6s and I've seen 7s. I used to get scared if it got down below 10. Now I get scared if it gets below 8. But no, people are doing better and better all the time here on this stuff. So challenge Kenny back there to help you get those MUNs down and get your production and your components up. Yeah. Factors affecting those RDP requirements. Well, what really affects it? Well, it depends on how much potentially fermentable carbohydrates you got in the diet. The more potentially fermentable carbohydrates you got in the diet, the more RDP you need. Why? Because the more fermentable carbohydrates that's in the diet, the more bugs that can be produced. Now, if there's more bugs, what's their number one requirement besides energy? Protein. Their bodies, lean and mean bacteria contain 60% protein. They need RDP. So how much RDP is in the diet is a function of how much fermentable carbohydrate that's in there. Has nothing to do with the cow. Nothing to do with the cow. Think about the need for RDP as a function of what the diet is. And then the quality of RDP also comes into play, but that's for your nutritionist to deal with. Remember I said don't feed too little, don't feed too much RDP? Here's the relationship between milk protein yield and RDP in ration dry matter using the NRC model to predict RDP. Notice peaks out there, feed less, you lose milk protein, feed more, lose milk protein. questions on fat? Because I want to get out of fat.
Right here.
Yes.
I don't have a question on that, but I think as a whole here in our area, we're way up on butterfat protein this year.
That's excellent.
Explain that to me though.
Yeah, no, that's good. And it's the same thing in Wisconsin. I mean, I'm shocked at some of these. I'm shocked at the number of herds that are going over 4%. I just.
Well, we're not over 4, but we're at 387 right now.
Well, no, that's really good. You're way above average there, right? 365 is the average for your area. Yeah, and that's great. It's great. So something about carbohydrate nutrition there. I think very little of that has to do with anything on amino acid nutrition, although it can, and I'm going to talk about that. But it's pretty much going to be on the carbohydrate side, because if you're that high, you're not suffering from the classical cases of milk fat depression. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's still a lot we don't know, but we're not going to get there, are we? If we just balance diets for non-structural carbohydrates and NDF and crude protein. If anybody can, I have a tough time calling myself a nutritionist, so that's all I balance for. The dairy producers here don't need me for that. Yeah.